12th meeting of the Grosse Township Public Services Commission. I'd like to convene the meeting, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, we'll call the roll. Kennedy,
Here.
Schmidtke,
Present.
Pusdesris,
Present.
Biddle,
Here.
Linda Stanko is excused for this evening, Flavin,
Here.
and Costick present. There are no public in the audience that wishes to speak. We have to make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved. Second.
Moved and supported that this evening's agenda be approved as distributed. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is approved. Next, we have so there's no public here. That's what's next on our agenda. At this point, the approval of the minutes of the June 10th meeting. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Moved and supported that the June 10th meeting minutes be approved as distributed. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Next, we have bills for July. A bill payment statement. I'm going to find it here in the packet. We got a thick packet tonight.
I believe it's page 11. It starts on page
Yep.
11.
I got it. We've all had a chance to look at the bills that have been paid for the month of July. And are there any questions?
None.
I didn't have any questions either. So with that, I'll make a motion that we approve the listing of bills as provided us. That's my motion. Is there support?
Second.
Any of you supported it?
Sure.
Got that, Derek?
Yes.
Since there are no questions, all in favor of approval of the bills for July? Actually, it was, it was for July. Indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The bills are approved. Just a listing of the bills that we get. Next, we have the review of statement of revenues and expenditures, both for June and July, because we did not meet in June. And I've looked at those. This is basically for the first 4 months, covers the first 4 months or 1/3 of the fiscal year. I didn't notice anything out of order. Anybody have any comments? If there weren't any comments, we'll just receive and file the bills. And finally, we have the treasurer's report. We're lucky our treasurer sits right on our commission as our liaison. Kevin, thank you for being here. You have the treasurer's report. Are there any, I'll make a motion to approve the treasurer's report. Is there support?
I support.
Ray, that was you?
Yeah.
Okay. Everything looks in order to me. I do have one small question to you, Derek, or to Kevin. What's the due to from the general fund, the 200,000?
So sometimes if there are accounts that have cash, idle cash in them, and another account needs it within the township governance, they'll take that idle cash, use it in that, and then it'll be due to that account. So
Okay.
when we need that money, it would come back from whatever account. And they do that to address liquidity issues if they have funds tied up in investments, CDs, things of that sort that they don't want to pull out.
Okay.
Yep.
I get it. I was thinking, I don't remember loaning the general fund any money. So you explained that. Thank you very much. We're just going to receive and file the treasurer's report. No, we have a motion. If there are no other questions, all in favor of approval of the treasurer's report indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you for approval of the treasurer's report. Okay. The next item we have is a special presentation by our staff, namely John Keim, who heads up our field operations. Everybody in the mail, all the citizens have received a 2024 report. It's the annual report on our water quality for Grosse. And John, you want to come up and make a presentation? I think we have it shown on the screen.
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Costick asked me to make a presentation this evening. So everyone should have received their consumer confidence report by this time. We are mandated by the EPA and enforced by Eagle to have it in the customer's hands by July 1st every year. So hopefully everyone received theirs on time. And we'll just go over a few highlights of the report itself. So we purchase our water from Great Lakes Water Authority. Currently we're using 1.3 million gallons per day is our daily average right now because of sprinklers and the hot weather everybody's watering. We have two feeds feeding the island. One at the north end at the toll bridge is a 16-inch line, comes all the way down from Bridge Road all the way to Grosse and Meridian. There's a pressure reducing valve at that site as well to lower or maintain a certain level of pressure, because this time of year Great Lakes Water Authority has to crank the pressure up to feed further distant locations in order to keep the pressure high enough. So right now, currently, the one at the north end is set at 62 PSI. At the Free Bridge, we have a 24-inch line with a pressure reducing valve. That's currently set at 59 pounds per square inch. We maintain 65 miles of water main here on the island with just our 3-man crew and the contractors. What else do we have here? We're also currently mandated by the state of Michigan to do lead and copper sample testing each year. So we're in the midst of that right now. Anybody with a lead service line would have received a letter from us approximately 2 weeks ago informing them that they have a lead service line. So if you receive that letter and you'd like to participate in the sampling program, please contact the office, and myself will be out and give you a sample kit. And once we obtain the results of those samples, we have 30 days to notify the customers. Currently, we have 28 lead service lines that have to be replaced by 2035. And as stated in the report, last year the maximum contaminant level was 15 parts per billion. This current year, they lowered it to 12 parts per billion. Next year, it'll go to 10 parts per billion. So the EPA is really pushing us to get the lead out of the water line. So again, if you'd like to participate, please contact the office and we'll make contact with you and drop off the sample kit. In the report, it also talks about our intake for the water is it's actually right out here off of Grosse by Fighting Island is where the intake is. That feeds all 4 of the Detroit water plants that service the entire area here. And then they have another one in Lake St. Clair that does the northern section as well. The tables in the report also are all self-explanatory. There's a key to what the abbreviations mean on page 5. All our water quality is outstanding, and we've never had any issues with that at all. And some of the results are from past years, but they're not required to test every single year for those chemicals. Anybody have any questions on any of that?
John, I just have one comment. You also do, aside from the lead pipes, you do regular water sampling and send them into the state, correct?
Great Lakes Water Authority does that for us.
Oh, we're not collecting them anymore?
Correct.
There's about
We do total trihalomethanes and haliocetic acids quarterly.
both yourself and the township manager, Derek, are licensed to operate the water system?
Correct. S2 level.
Municipalities or systems are required to have what they call an operator in charge. That operator in charge has to be licensed, like you had mentioned. For Grosse Township, we utilize John as our operator in charge. So John puts together the consumer confidence report. He is responsible for the testing, and he's the point person for any kind of compliance issues associated with our water system. In a pinch, obviously, with my license, I provide redundancy to, making sure that we have adequate coverage if John has to leave or something like that. And then also our other DPW employees also have certifications, but I believe they're S3 operators. And the operator licensure goes S4, 3, 2, and then 1. And depending upon the size of the community, you have to have the certain, license. I think it's 10,000 and above is S2, correct? And then anything above that would be an S1. So what's the cutoff for 50,000 and above is an S1 licensure. So, and as John was mentioning, the Consumer Confidence Report is due annually to be provided to the residents. And really the goal of all this is to make sure that there's, openness and transparency about what is in your water system, so you understand what you're drinking, and if you have any concerns, where you can go to address, those concerns or understand what the source of the water is and that type of thing.
Okay, well, John, thank you. This is what it looks like to everybody, in case anybody's watching. Also, you mentioned if people have concern about lead pipes,
Correct.
you told them to call, but call where?
736-476-4422.
It's the township. That's the
Township.
And ask for the
extension
water
228.
department?
Extension 228.
228,
Derek.
228, okay. That's extension 228, the township number, extension 228.
Correct.
If you're concerned
You
about.
remember, I think it was multiple months ago, you guys had authorized and the board had authorized the contract for inventorying the lead service lines. So I think we identified something like 48, 45, something like that. 43 lead service lines. So we have an understanding of where all those are, and like John had mentioned, we were required by the state to notify all residents if they had a lead service line, and then we're required to continue to notify them annually until that line is replaced. So just because you received a notice doesn't mean your water is unsafe, but we do extend to you, the option to have it tested along with our other sample locations if you're interested in participating.
This is a program the state operates to, Flint's a good example of it, Detroit has it, to get rid of these lead pipes in dwelling units, so.
So they actually add a chemical at the water treatment plant. It's called orthophosphate, and that creates an eggshell coating on the inside of the piping material. As long as that piping material is not disturbed and that eggshell coating stays in there, you won't be exposed to lead and or copper. And in the Flint case, they did not add that chemical for a while.
Yeah, and the pipes corroded and the material, got eaten into and broke off and went into the water supply. So it was a treatment issue up in Flint, not so much a material issue. But nonetheless, these regulations have come out of that, which.
Yep.
The pipes have been in service for over 100 years, so.
Yep.
It's just,
If there are any questions from the board.
No, sir.
Okay, well, John, thank you for your
Thank you, Bill.
presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Now we have a series of action items. The first is recommended approval of a purchase of a backhoe, a CAT 420 backhoe purchase. And I'll read the recommendation is that the Public Service Commission hereby recommends to the Township Board the purchase of a new CAT 420 backload loader at a cost of $140,125.26. And furthermore declares surplus and recommends the disposal of the existing unit via trade-in with Michigan Cat, for which the trade-in value has been credited against the purchase of the new unit. And I think we're buying this unit through a bid taken by the state of Michigan?
So this is a collaborative bid purchase. So it's something called Sourcewell, which is actually a federal program where you can buy equipment out of a federal bid contract. So, in order to leverage all the purchasing power nationwide, Sourcewell is something that's authorized for us to use, which is actually above and beyond what like a state bid is, which only deals with the state of Michigan contracts. This is a national contract. And a matter of fact, I want to say the fire department purchased their most recent fire truck off Sourcewell. So it's something we've used for other purchases for equipment within the township.
Great program.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to go into any
Yeah,
details?
a couple of things. So the current unit that we have is a 416. We demoed a 416 and a 420. The folks down at the DPS shop prefer the 420 to the 416. It's just a little bit more capable of a unit. This was a budgeted item for this fiscal year and will end up having to be a budgeted item for subsequent fiscal years. The current unit that we have is, I believe, 17 years old. And has a variety of different issues where it doesn't make sense for us to continue to do repair work to it. It makes sense to go ahead and purchase a new unit. So that was a priority item in our budget. The program that we would buy it through is basically a financing program through Michigan CAT under that Sourcewell contract. And it's basically a five-year term for this. The trade-in value would be applied to the first year. There are a couple of different things to discuss here. Number one, the process for which we would dispose of the unit. We've been provided a trade-in value, which we feel is a market value for the unit that we'd be trading in. We can dispose of that via public auction. That is an option if the commission and the board chooses that to be a better method. But I think John can attest that the trade-in value that we've been provided, the trade-in price, is very competitive. We can always set the floor at $33,000 if we chose to go out and dispose of this via auction or something along those lines, so that we wouldn't take less than what we've been offered if that is the preference of the township commission and board. The purchase of this piece of equipment is something that we would like to move forward with. If you guys decide you want to go a different direction with the disposal of the old unit, we can obviously do that if you choose that to be your preference.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. So the backhoe is used frequently by the water sewer departments. I don't know if it's used daily, but it's almost daily.
Yeah.
It has not only a backhoe capacity off the rear end, but a front end bucket, and I think there's different buckets that come with it, different size buckets that come with it. So it's a versatile piece of equipment that we need and rely on. Personally, I'm comfortable with what you've outlined today. We would make 4 payments in the amount of, it's a lease program until we purchase it in full. It's $30,000, $554.97 a year, $30,554.97 per year. I'm comfortable with moving forward with it as presented. We'll go around the table. Are there any comments from anybody on the commission? Kevin?
I have one. Was this will not be used on water main breaks?
No.
Just normal maintenance? And,
Correct.
Okay.
The contractor brings his own equipment.
Is that it, Lance?
Yep.
Kevin, you had a comment?
Eric, I would thank you for the presentation, and would you please discuss why we're purchasing it, or why we're not buying it outright, and how the lease, the interest rate, those sort of things, to kind of give the folks at home an understanding of how it's being financed.
Sure. So if you, I want to say if you want to refer to, and I don't know that there's a page number on the bottom of it, but it's Exhibit 2. The interest rate through CAT is 5.49%. It's over a 5-year period of time. The initial payment of $33,000 would basically just be our trade-in, so there won't be a payment in the first year. The annual payments, as the chairman had mentioned, for the next 4 years following that would be $30,554.97. we would like to have the financial flexibility of not having to put out a little over $100,000, right off the bat, so that we can have some, some capital and reserves versus spending that additional money. The total financing for the 4-year or 5-year period is $15,095 is the cost of the interest.
Thank you. And you said this is set up as a lease?
It's actually a finance.
It's a purchase.
Yes,
lease
it's a purchase.
Okay.
It's financed, yep.
So if at some point after the 5th year, we can either hold on to it or,
Yes. yep,
okay, move on to something else?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Are there other questions? Okay, are we ready for a motion?
Motion.
I should have made the motion first, I guess. I read it. But I'll make what I read the motion. Is there support?
I'll second it.
All right, it's been moved and supported. We've had some discussion on it, a presentation on it. If you're ready to vote, all in favor of purchasing a CAT 420 backhoe loader at a total cost of $140,125.26 on the lease purchase arrangement. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion's approved. Thank you.
I had one more. I should have asked this before we voted. In fairness to last night's meeting, were other vendors, other companies that make backhoes considered?
No. The operators in the DPW department, we currently have a CAT. They're experienced on CAT equipment. We have a local dealer that services the CAT equipment versus Deere and others have service centers that are farther away. We have familiarity with preventative maintenance on CAT equipment with the existing staff. So really, it's a familiarity of the product from a maintenance operation and a service standpoint, where our preference is to stay with CAT equipment versus going with a Case or a Deere or something along those lines.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
They're very dependable. They are very dependable. 28 years I've been here, that's all we've had.
Thank you.
And when you go through the state or federal bid procedure, they already take bids from other vendors, and then they give you the option.
Yeah, you can buy Deere equipment on state bid or Sourcewell. You can buy Case equipment, but it's like a preference, right? Some folks prefer GM or some prefer Ford, some prefer Chrysler, but our staff prefers CAT equipment for those variety of different reasons. The familiarity of it being the primary one.
So the due diligence process of finding the best price has already been done? by the-
Correct. Absolutely. Yep.
Excellent. Thank you.
Kevin, I'll just offer this to you too. In our budget process over the years, we try not to buy two pieces of equipment in a single year. So we spend anywhere between $30,000-$40,000 a year for like pickup trucks or other machinery we need to buy. That's been our capital range for that kind of purchase. Hope that helps.
That's
answer.
very helpful. Thank you.
So just one point that I want to make. So Derek, we did not address whether we wanted to auction this thing or whether you guys wanted to trade that in. I guess by default, we're going to let you guys make that decision.
If that's the direction that the DPS commission wants to go, obviously the board can choose a different direction if they choose by vote to do that. So if there's a preference of the commission, we have no,
Is there a cost to send it to an auction?
Well, so there used to be something called mitten auctions where municipalities can put up pieces of equipment for public auction. That was discontinued about 2 years or so ago. So the method that we do now is basically we advertise the piece of equipment in the newspaper and we say, if you're interested, you can submit your best bid by sealed envelope on this date and time at this location. And we could put a reserve on it of, the trade-in value. that is an option. We haven't received much success with that. I know the PD and the fire department has tried to dispose of equipment that way. A lot of times they're lucky if they get one price, and usually it's a low ball offer. So in order to combat that, we've also looked for vehicles at doing, going to auctions. Like Lions has a public auction. They advertise in the newspaper, and we haven't received much luck with that either. So I'm not experienced with going to like an auction house and having them put that piece of equipment up for auction. We would have to look into that to see whether that was an option, legally for us to do that. We could go that route. I think we feel like the value that they're providing us or the price they've given us on this trade-in is pretty fair, but we can definitely go and research that and see if we want to go that route, if that makes people more comfortable about the disposal of this. So there's a couple of different options here. We can do the newspaper thing, sealed bid, to make sure that everybody, has had an opportunity to purchase this. We can look at the auction house option, or we can go with a trade-in or a combination of those various methods.
And there would be an expense involved with the time, the employees' time, the folks that work here.
Direct and indirect, yes.
Yeah, so there would be.
Yeah.
We'd have to raise the floor then to cover that. I mean, we could do that.
And I, in my past, have had experience with a large piece of equipment, putting it out for bids, and saying you're buying it as is. And then they ask you all these questions.
Right.
Does it operate? Does it do this?
Right.
What are the problems you know about? And had a big issue develop because they said the transmission, you didn't tell us we had a bad transmission.
Right.
Well, we didn't know we did. Well, you sold us with a bad transmission, got into a lawsuit.
Right.
So there is risk involved in doing this.
Well, even
Yeah.
though they say they're buying it as is,
Right,
it
Right.
becomes a gamble, and
right.
I'm comfortable with the way you've got it.
I think, I'm comfortable with it that way.
Yeah, me too.
Great.
Take the,
You guys go ahead and do the trade-in.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're using it tomorrow morning, thank you.
All right, did we vote? Yeah, I think we did. Did we? Yeah, we did
Yes.
vote, right. Okay. Next item is the confirmation of this is a confirmation of a purchase, an emergency purchase made for an influent meter at the wastewater treatment plant. The recommendation says that the Grosse Township Public Service Commission recommends, hereby confirms, that we're confirming, the action we're taking, not recommending, we're confirming, the designation of the replacement of the wastewater treatment plant influent meter, which is essential to the operation of the plant, as an emergency and supports the change order with Source and Grosse, who is our contractor who did the ACO work, to perform this under the wastewater treatment plant administrative consent order project. Derek?
There was a memo that was included in your packet from Charles Rain's company regarding the influent meter replacement. Within that memo, it addresses the reasons for the immediate need for the replacement of this meter. Ryan is here, so he can probably speak more on the influent meter and what it does, if there are questions. But basically, it reads the water coming into the plant, and the need for that is from a compliance standpoint, for sampling and for dosing of chlorine. It's required by the state for us to have an operating meter. In addition to that, with the new final clarifier, there is a performance certification process that we have to go through to basically certify that the design standards that the ACO were constructed to can be actually achieved in operation. We can't do that PCP without having an operating influent meter. As Rains had mentioned in their memo, this was a project that was originally part of the administrative consent order. It was backed out, and what we had asked from an emergency expenditure standpoint was to add that back into the ACO project to get this completed. So it's being brought to you this evening, as the chairman had mentioned, more as an informative item, being that it was authorized under our emergency purchase process that's in our policies and procedures. And we just want you to be aware of it, and if you feel comfortable, confirm the authorization of the purchase of this Influent meter on an emergency basis. So, do you have any questions about the information that's in the memo or the project itself?
Nope.
Ryan, do you have anything you want to add about it at all? Okay.
Well, I do. What technology meter failed? Was it a mag meter? Was it the ultrasonic, Doppler, transit time?
Well, we had a mag meter on our Influent, and it went bad about a year ago, and we got a Doppler meter, which it goes around the pipe. And the issue with that is it was working properly within the range of efficiency that Eagle would accept. And with the ACO work, we replaced the piping, which was downstream of that meter, and they concrete lined the pipe, so that with the Doppler meter, it's not going to work at all now.
Oh.
So now it's an emergency where we have to have the mag meter, which is an inline meter, which is what we've always had there. So this was sort of just found out about 6 months ago. And it just so worked out that about a year and a half ago, our effluent flow meter went faulty too. So that's the meter where the flow leaves the plant. Now the issue with that one is replacing the effluent meter is more complex because you need a diver who has to actually go in our main effluent line of the plant, plug that up, and able to replace that. So we're replacing our Influent one because it's easier and it's less expensive. But we also need our effluent one replaced eventually here, and C. Rains has been working on that, on the effluent one also. But it's just, as of right now, we're estimating our flow at the plant, the Influent flow. I have like a ratio of how I'm figuring that out.
That's okay with Eagle?
Yeah, Eagle's known about this for years. But as of right now, that's all we can do, that we're placing the Influent one.
Have you tried the ultrasonic or Doppler transit time meter on the effluent?
No,
normally
but
lots of
we
clear
have a mag
liquid.
meter there too, that it just shorted out. It got water damage on that one. We did a confined space entry UIS SCADA looked at it, and they said it just shorted out, so it's water damage. Now, the effluent meter was maybe 15, 20 years old, and the Influent one was about same age. So it just, it just happened that both of the meters just kind of went, and then we were in the process of replacing them, and then we got the Doppler on the Influent, and then that was working, and Eagle was acceptable to that, and then it just, now it's not working, or, that's why we're buying this as an emergency. And really our Influent flow meter is not a real hard installation, since it's right in the plant there, so they literally just have to remove the old one, and we can actually run the plant while we're installing our influent flow meter.
It's the same flange to flange dimension. and you don't
Yeah,
have to-
yep, they just have to basically remove the old one, put the new one in, so it might take a couple days. And that. The effluent one's harder because we don't have an extra effluent pipe leaving the plant, so that one's gonna be more involved, where we may have to get, bypass pumping while the effluent one is being replaced because you can't operate the plant, you know. so-
Confined space also, right?
Exactly, and you need a diver because we don't have a valve that is after the meter that you could just isolate it. So that's another issue, but we're getting the influent one as an emergency, so at least if we have that, we will have reliable flow measurements into the plant. And in Eagle's eyes, at least if we have that, you know, we have accurate readings, so.
And I'm just going to comment, in the memo, it indicates, and I think this is what we discussed, Kevin, when we talked about this, is it was originally part of the Sorensen Grosse bid for the large expansion at the plant with a series of pumps and piping, as well as the third final clarifier that we installed at the cost of $8 million or something. So it was originally part of that.
Yep.
And I don't remember, the price range was $8,000 or $11,000.
I think the total project is 45, something, yeah.
Oh, it was originally bid as a price.
It was, and I think
an
it got,
item by Sorensen Grosse.
right, and I think it got backed out because the clamp-on was working, but then.
It
when-
was.
Yep.
And then
They already had the price submitted. Okay?
Yep.
So this
Thank
is,
you.
this is for the DPS Commission's information. Derek felt that it was important that we advise you of this emergency purchase. And I know we've had them in the past, but, so I guess, what action are you looking for us on this?
If you want to make a motion to confirm it or to support it, that would be fine,
Yeah,
or
I'll
nothing
make
at
a
all.
motion to confirm and receive the report from the staff that we did purchase the influent meter, and that's, when's it going to be installed?
Well,
You don't know yet.
we have to order it, and then,
Raines
Yeah.
is working on ordering it with the contractor, or having the
But
contractor.
we're just
order
confirming
Yeah.
the action taken by,
it. It's been in motion
All of
since I
us.
think we had talked.
all right, we're going to
Yeah.
confirm the emergency purchase. That's the motion for the influent meter. Everybody in accordance with that? Does somebody support that? Kevin, you want to support that? Kevin will support it. Any questions further? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The influent meter has been purchased and approved. Thank you.
all right, thanks.
I think next on the agenda is Ryan's.
The AC.
HVAC purchase.
Uh,
Okay.
Skipped over the air
Oh,
conditioner
gosh.
Should be,
Thanks, Bill.
We got ahead of
no,
ourselves.
no,
90 degrees in
no
the
AC
building.
for you, John.
It's not 90 in the clubhouse.
Thanks.
Oh, my packet's all messed up here.
I think it's page 50.
I'm backing up. Good thing you guys are catching me. All right, so what the recommendation is to the Grosse Hill Township Board, the approval, we're gonna make a recommendation to the Township Board to approve a contract for the low bidder temperature control to replace the air conditioning unit at the DPS garage office at an expense, and you took prices on this, of $8,900. John?
Thank you, Bill, I appreciate it.
Yeah, so it's just that simple. Now, you've got 3 bids,
Correct.
and this is the low bid. Are there any questions?
So is it the garage or the office?
Office,
It's the office, okay.
no air conditioning in the garage.
Any other questions?
I just have a comment. I would like to say thank you for getting 3 bids on this air conditioning unit.
Okay. If there are no further discussion or questions, all in favor of approving, did somebody support this? I don't think so.
Support.
Okay. Kennedy supported, Costick made the motion to purchase from Temperature Control, replace the air conditioning unit at the DPS garage office at an expense of $8,900. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion's passed.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, John. We have a lot of papers here to shuffle. I think next on the agenda, Derek, is the wastewater treatment plant manager update. Is that right?
Yes.
So Ryan, the floor is yours. Whatever you want to present us with.
Hello, everyone. We had a CEI, which is a compliance evaluation and inspection with the regulator at the end of May. This is like an annual inspection at the plant, and there were numerous findings. This says violation notice, but as long as we respond by the date, and we did, and I worked with Veolia on our responses if it was like an issue in the lab, which Veolia is responsible for. If it was an issue in the plant, I worked with Derek and C. Rains on those issues. But we responded. On 7/23, so we submitted it early, and I feel that we responded appropriately on all these, and we're just waiting to hear on Eagle's response. For example, one of them was about our influent effluent flow meters, how that is a continuing one. We're replacing our influent one meter and our effluent one eventually. The new final clarifier is probably the most important one that we can't use that tank since our secondary sludge pumps are not working right. So actually that fix is hopefully going to happen this week by Kennedy, with how it'll back flush the pumps automatically so that they'll prime and it'll work. Because at that time we had our new final tank, it was out of service, and I just said that that's the reason why, is because we can't properly remove the sludge out of that tank. But we're working on that, and I'm confident that by October 25th is when the ACO work has to all be complete and working, that tank, it will be working. It's just we've been having that issue with the pumps, the secondary pumps, how we have to manually operate them. They don't prime, we have to back flush the pumps, and it's just more of a manual operation. I just want to let you know that.
I have a question on that.
Yeah.
Have you ever had the new clarifier filled?
Yes, we have. We used it in the springtime, and we filled it with water, and then we tried using the pumps, and it would not pump the sludge out of the tank.
Okay, so
Real hard to do so.
you're fixing the sludge pumps, is what you're doing.
Exactly, and this is the same problem that, well, it's all three of those pumps which are in the room. There's one pump for each final tank. So our two existing tanks and then a new tank. Right now, it's like a manual operation with our two existing clarifiers. We have to back flush the pumps, and then it catches a prime. So it's just more of a manual operation. Like sometimes the pumps will just work, and then other times we have to work at it, you know. But it will work. It's just that it's how it used to actually be, where those pumps would work on a timer, like every hour. They would run for like a minute every hour. But if you're having issues with the pumps priming, then when it's time for that pump to run, it just won't run. Or maybe it will, maybe it won't. So
So the sludge pumps, I'm guessing, were not part of the original ACO work.
well, we purchased the same kind of pump for the new tank also, unfortunately. So that's why we're having this problem.
So, just to expand on that a little bit, to Ryan's point, part of the ACO would have been the pump for that the new final clarifier, but the two existing final clarifiers, we replaced those pumps outside of the ACO project a year and a half ago or so.
Yep.
And the previous orientation, so the pumps had, the previous pumps had an orientation that was horizontal. These pumps have an orientation that is vertical. And when they changed the orientation from a horizontal to a vertical, it resulted in issues with priming. So like Ryan had mentioned, it's just like your sprinkler system at your house. You know, if you're pumping out of the canal and you have it on a timer, you know, it only works if that pump doesn't have an error issue where it's losing prime. They can't operate these pumps on an automatic cycle because they lose prime all the time. So they have to operate it on a manual basis, which is very inefficient. And they don't want to fully operate the final clarifier with the known issue with priming and having problems with pulling sludge out of that or material out of that final clarifier. So we've been working with the contractor that did the install to try to resolve the issue of priming. And it's all been at their cost to correct this issue because they are the ones that recommended the, you know, these pumps in this application. And the fix that they're proposing, the final fix, hopefully, that they're proposing is the installation of this equipment that's supposed to take place this week, which basically, I don't know what the best term for it, but it pre-waters the pumps to ensure that they have water in them to operate them when they're called on to operate. So
Yeah, basically it's like a solenoid type valve off of our plant water system where before the pumps run, that valve will open up for 5 minutes, flush the pump in the line so it's full, and then turn the pump on. So hopefully that will result in the pump actually running for however long it's supposed to run. And they're supposed to be at the plant this week to install that, and then we'll know if that works. So, but
And just so you know, we've gotten legal counsel involved and had them write a letter to them saying, hey, look, you know, this is your product. It should operate properly. If it doesn't, you know, we want you to pull these out. If you can't resolve the issue, refund the township, and then we'll go back to a horizontal orientation because, you know, Eagle obviously doesn't care what the issue is or who's at fault. They just want your plant to operate, and so do we. You know, so that'll be the next step if we, if they can't resolve the issue, because there is responsibility on their part because they were the ones that recommended this application or these pumps for this application. So, you know, it's on them to make sure that their product works the way it's supposed to work.
And they did the install too.
They did the
not?
install, yes. Yep.
I mean, it's a leak in that system that is causing that prime to be lost. So some way, shape, or form, something's not right in that installation.
yep,
Okay,
it's
so you're working
ongoing.
on resolving that,
Yeah,
and that'll be affixed to the notice of violation, right? Because it's not
Yeah,
operating.
and just so, and Ryan touched on it a little bit, when Eagle comes in and does their inspection, they go through the whole plant and they put a list together of different things that they find are non-compliant or of issue, and they measure it at that point in time. So there could be ongoing issues that you're working through. There could be construction that you're dealing with. There could be things that just recently broke that you're currently addressing. There could be lab sampling things that you were unaware of. But, their goal is to make sure that all those things are resolved, and, Ryan's job is to put together a response, which he has within a certain date and time that they request you to give them a game plan on how you're going to address these various issues. And that's one of the things that came up was, the influent meter. The influent meter is not operating. Well, we don't want to be in violation. They need that information to operate the plant. You have an issue of compliance that you're trying to address. So that's why one of the reasons we wanted to proceed with that. You got to be brought into compliance. You got to make sure that you have that to be able to operate the plant the way it's supposed to. So these type of inspections result in action sometimes, and that being one of them. So
Yeah, and Veolia responded on this letter. They were real involved with going over all the concerns from Eagle and then responding accordingly. So, and we'll just wait to hear,
The contractor's cooperative.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And are they a sub to Sorensen Grosse? No. They're separate. Right. So we bought these some time ago separately.
yeah, it was probably a year and a half ago or so.
Okay.
It when
I know we buy so many pumps. I can't
bid
remember
process
what
and all
they-
that. Yeah,
We've been replacing pumps weekly.
yeah. The plant's got
Okay,
a lot of pumps.
thank you for that explanation. Brian, anything else?
Our SFE system removal and installation of the filtration system is going to happen December 1st at the plant. That's our plant water system filter, and that's being done by Monroe Plumbing and Heating. So the equipment, it was just released right now, so it's like 16 to 18 weeks until
Oh.
they get that equipment. And then, yep, so that'll happen then. We are currently doing a power study at the plant, a 2-week study by UIS SCADA. What kind of brought this on is with our new HVAC system for the lab office, we were having some faults, and I contacted C-Rains, and they brought in the manufacturer of the equipment because this system was just installed in November last year. Heating season, it worked great, and then now these faults are tied to voltage problems. So either like high spikes of voltage. So the contractor's saying, well, it's a power problem. That's on you guys. So I consulted with C-Rains and Derek on this, and we thought it would be best to do a power study where we have a meter like on the main feed of the plant to see all the power stats. And then in about a week, we're going to take that information to DTE and hopefully can get some help with this, because we already wrecked a VFD unit for that rooftop. That was like $4,000. We had to pay for that. So actually right now we had the air off, and we had to buy 2 portable AC units for the lab office, because we got to have the lab at least 70 degrees in there. So because we didn't want to keep running the unit if it's having problems and then something worse happens. So but we're hoping that we can get some help from DTE on this or refund or any, and then we'll go from there.
So Ryan, have you been measuring it for what length of time now?
It was installed on 7/30, so it'll be 2 weeks tomorrow. And
What kind of power? What kind of power
UIS
spikes?
actually came in yesterday and they had 96 events, which were like spikes or abnormal, which is outside of the plant, not in the plant.
Not in the plan.
So it's looking like we will have some good information that hopefully we can use. See Rains, hopefully can try and contact DTE with this report, and then I don't know what's going to happen after that, but it might, that's the goal here, because it's really not only our HVAC system, we also have other numerous pieces of equipment that
Yeah.
just turn off when we have to reset them at the plant, like our flex rate system, our Influent screening system, same thing where we just have to keep resetting things. So it is actually numerous items here.
So we have to bring more power in.
Well,
plant-
it has
Cleaner power.
Cleaner
Yeah,
power.
cleaner, huh?
Yeah, because there's a wide disparity of power fluctuation through this island. And they might have fixed that within the last several years, but, it's not all running at 125 volts. Sometimes it's running at 135 volts at different parts of the island. So measuring voltage as well as amp load is going to be key. And it's also going to be key to make sure that, you look at the service panels to make sure that all the equipment's grounded correctly and the ground things haven't been inadvertently, loosened up over time and stuff like that. Because that's what's going to cause power spikes and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, and UIS SCADA, he looked at our main transformers, which are right before the plant, are ours, and we own those, so they're not DTE. He looked at them and he said that they actually look all right inside for never being serviced, but that might be, UIS SCADA does specialize in this stuff. So off the report, hopefully we can move on and, take the next action. Or for that rooftop HVAC, we may have to just install like a power conditioner only for that unit. We have these step-down transformers on other pieces of equipment, but at the time, we weren't sure if we would have needed that for the rooftop unit. It just seems like with these VFDs, they're real small ranges where if you get a little something it doesn't like, and that's it. It's getting worse with that, but
So you're going to keep us alerted to what's going on with that? I
yeah, I
suppose?
will at the next meeting, and
Yep,
then
okay,
the information we gain, and then we'll go from there.
okay.
At the end of the month, Kennedy is doing an overhaul on the lift stations. That's in the budget for the level indicators and the multi-smart computers there. So I just want to let you guys know that that's happening. So that's good. That's all I have.
Okay, before you leave, are there any other questions for Ryan at this point? I got a couple of issues I want to talk about, and I was prepared 2 months ago to do this, but you missed the meeting. I thought it might be helpful to the public, if anybody's watching. We have our wastewater treatment plant, and there's four employees that
Yep.
basically work. One of them is a lab technician that does the lab reports and so forth, and the other three operate the plant. And as you know, the plant is over 70 years old. And through the years, we've had a capital budget, not with the ACO project that was multi-million, but we spend $300,000-400,000 a year replacing pumps and pipes and those kinds of things, and we've been pretty regular about doing that with the money the sewer money that we receive through the sewer fees. What I want people to know is every month, I don't know, does the commission all get this? I know Kevin as treasurer gets it, township manager gets it, I get it. You all get it, okay. So I've been reading through the responsibilities that you have, and I just want to, I made a few notes I just want to share with you. So with the 4 full-time employees, you guys respond to emergencies on a weekend too. I
Yep.
know.
Every day,
Or the
every-
middle of the night, right. So I want to highlight the last 4 months, just a couple things that have gone on from the monthly reports we received. I'm going to go back to March, so the July report's not done yet, but, so on March 5th, the report indicates at 2:45 a.m., and that was a Wednesday, 2:45 in the morning, the East River Road lift station, now we have 5 lift stations that they're responsible for. The East River Road lift station had a high-level alarm go off. It was determined that due to the blowing wind from a huge rainstorm, that the inside cabinet that runs the pumps became wet. Staff ran manually and repaired the lift stations, but a decision was made by you and the engineers that all 5 of the that the lift stations should get new weather stripping and caulk. So they went ahead and took care of all 5 of them so that this wouldn't repeat itself. And my point is that this is at 2:45 in the morning, they're getting called out. The April report indicates that on April 9th, they worked with Kennedy Industries to address problems with the secondary sludge pumps. We've already talked about sludge pumps tonight. On April 14th, they worked with Process Piping to replace the original sludge transfer pump. This was completed 4 days later. On April 23rd, a new line pump was put into service. The lime pump was put into service on April 23rd. The new lime pump that was planned was put into service. Also that same day encountered a problem with the new sludge transfer pump, only to find out that the bottom of the sludge tank was plugged with a huge mass of rags, which you called in Safeway Transport to remove the rags with a Vector truck. The May report indicates that on May 16th at 11:30, that's a Friday night, 11:30 Friday night, the wastewater treatment plant lost power. Staff responded. They determined that the equalization basin backup generator was working. Next morning, it was determined that a nearby large tree had fallen on a DTE power line that caused the power outage. The next morning, everything was fine. Now, these things I find this interesting that this stuff's happening. Again, on May 22nd, the annual State of Michigan Eagle regulators did their annual plant inspection, and that takes about a day, I think.
Yeah, they're there about half the day. Yeah.
And I guess you've now received the final report. In the June, June 4th, the June report, June 4th, a high-level alarm at the Alba number 2 lift station went off, and staff found a nearby construction project was taking place. There were flowing water that flooded the cover of the lift station. It filled up the lift station with water. Once the new water tap was completed and the water flow was stopped, the lift station worked fine. These are odd incidents, but on June 11th, the Swan Island lift pump needed a new discharge pipe replacement. I guess it failed, it was rotted out, whatever. It was, I don't know, 40 years old or something.
Yeah, they're all about that age.
This led to a replacement of the discharge pipe in all 5 lift stations. So what I want to indicate is they're getting called at different times of the night, and they're fixing these things. So they replaced the discharge pump in all 5. So I just thought that, people think, okay, you're operating a treatment plant, how difficult can that be? Well, it is difficult, and I think I just want to commend you guys for the service you do, so. They don't get enough praise for that kind of stuff.
Right on.
So.
100%.
Yep, you're welcome.
Okay, are we almost done with this?
That's all I have. Yep.
There was one other thing. I know the chairman and myself had talked about a tour at the plant at some point, hopefully this fall, to review the improvements, the work that was done at the plant, and offer the residents the opportunity to understand how the plant operates. I know, Mr. Chairman, you and I had spoke about dates. I spoke with Ryan about dates earlier today. We were thinking about potentially October 18th, and I know that we had talked about maybe November sometime. I think Ryan and I looked at his staff schedule, and then also, some concerns with the weather in November. I don't know if we want to try to think about that date, but Ryan had suggested the 18th from 8 a.m. to 12 noon, and I think that's a Saturday. And take a look at that.
I'm glad you brought that up. That's where I was gonna go next with the
Okay.
commission. So, the question that I talked to Ryan about yesterday and you yesterday was, do we really want to do this? To have an open house at the wastewater plant? Personally, I think I do, and I think, Ryan, you want to, and I think, Derek, you would like to show people what we've done in the last year or two with the ACO project. It was an enormous project, the voters approved it. But then I started listing some of the issues, and I just want to, before we discuss it again tonight, I would like to just go through some of the issues that I saw, and going to be a little expense to do it. So here's the issues, and then we'll talk about it, okay? Do we really want to do it is the first question. There will be lots of work for the staff to get the plant looking good, to have an open house. We don't know how many people will show up, you could have 20, you could have 120. I mean, I don't expect a huge turnout, but at least we give people the opportunity. We'll have to budget some dollars, and we have the money in our wastewater fund to do this, but it's going to cost a few dollars. And then the question is, Derek just said when, and on Saturdays, I was thinking that we could buy as much time as possible, and I kind of looked at Saturday, November 1st, but I also listed October 11th is a Saturday, and October 18th is a Saturday. October 25th is the Michigan State game. We don't want to do it that day. I think the game is at noon or
One of
something.
those dates is hazardous waste recycling too. I don't know which one.
About dump to junk or Wayne County?
Wayne County.
They have a voucher system now, so I think you can go at any time that you want. So it wouldn't be, if you had to miss that, you could still go at a different time.
I think it costs you.
We have free vouchers down in DPS that you can pick up.
Why I'm going over all this, I just want us to make a decision. Do we want to do this or not? Okay? It's going to be a lot of work for Ryan, I know. And I think we talked about just a morning event, 8 to noon. Parking could be a problem. So we could have the police, we'll just say to everybody, do something with parking, park on one side of West River to start. We don't know what kind of crowd we're going to get, right? There's very little parking inside the plant. And then have a police officer be aware that it's going on and maybe hang out there. Anyway, parking's going to be a problem. So the first question I asked Sohail is, can you prepare a brochure that would show the process through the plant, but also explain what the voters approved, how much it cost, what we've accomplished with it to comply with the administrative consent order from the state? And he said he can. Now, it's going to be some cost of that, and then we'd have to print it. And I don't know how many we'd print, maybe a couple hundred if he printed so I don't expect that many people to show up, but then we'd have one. And then accessibility is a big issue, safety and accessibility. So I started to talk to Ryan about, well, what would be the things that they could see? So I just made a list of them. First of all, all of us have been down in the basement where the primary tanks are, you've been down there, Lance, right?
A long time ago, yep.
They haven't changed. We upgraded them all a few years ago, but, so they could go down the one set of stairs. If there's somebody there to supervise them going down, there's a handrail, and go into the room, and we'd rope off an area, but that's one area they could access and not walk around on the platforms or anything, but then see the this is an important thing to see, that where the water comes in and how it sits and some of the larger items are put into the sludge tanks and so forth. The next would be in the same building as the lab. And we'd have to have the lab technician there and explain, what do we do in the lab? We do these sample reports, and every day they're sent off to the state. Next, we could go into the RBC, what I call the biodisc room, you know, the big discs.
Yep.
And again, rope an area off and have somebody there explaining and supervising what it would take to, or what's the process and how does it function. Next is the equalization basin. It's a very impressive building. And you can see the depth of the building, the size of the building. And they could, again, a supervisor would have to be there, a roped off area. So safety of the residents would be a concern. And then finally, the outside improvements we just made. They could talk about the various pumps that are involved and so forth, but the final clarifier, we could look at all three clarifiers and say, this is one we built, and where does the water discharge into the canal and so forth from there. So I've identified 5 areas, which means we'd have to have 5 professionals from Veolia, including you and your staff would have to be available whatever date we pick. We would have to have people that can explain to the public what's going on. So there'd be a little extra cost there, okay? Right? So it means extra staff. Another thing, if we're gonna do this, they keep the place fairly clean, but the hallways and some other things, we want the tiles to shine. They don't polish them. So my thinking is we'd have to hire a cleaning service. We might spend $2,000 or $3,000 with a cleaning service. You'd probably appreciate it too, but get things really clean up and shining if we're going to show off this. And I think we should do it anyway, the cleaning. Then we talked about, at least originally this was talked about is with John, is if we're going to do this at the wastewater plant, we ought to have a tent set up, a little tent or something, where John puts a display on of what is public services. You know, maybe a large map of our water system, a large map of our sewer system, maybe the maps of the routes that were once available, of priorities, refuse collection, and maybe even do a brochure about public services on the island. Our roadside maintenance and roads and drains and all the stuff we are responsible for. If we're going to do a PR, let's do it. I know the fire department has the big fire prevention week show every year. In my prior experience, a lot of police departments caught on that because Fire Prevention Week's a big week. All the fire stations are hosting kids. They love it. And a lot of police departments started doing something. I don't think we do that with our police department, but I know cities like Southfield, Farming Hills, they do something with police and fire. This is an opportunity to promote public services, put the PR for it. John, you can jump in on this conversation too. But so those are the things I identified. So I'm interested in what your thoughts are. So start with Kevin.
I think that's a great idea, and everybody could have a big glass of water.
Drink the water.
No.
To see
Okay.
the-
Not
to
wastewater.
see the-
I hadn't
the
thought
end
about
result.
that. I hadn't thought about that.
The end result, so. No, I think that this is a great idea. What's that?
Do it before and after.
You're right.
Yeah, we do in the lab. We'll
Yeah.
have like before and after the water so they can see, okay, that's how it looks before it comes in, and then after. Yeah, we do that in the lab, yeah.
Another thought, you could invite all the other trustees to come to this event too.
I think we should all be there and hand out cookies or something to,
Well, that's a question I thought about, then I kind of discarded. Should we have refreshments there? You know, cookies would be easy enough. Some kind of,
Gotta have something to draw on it.
okay.
Yep.
Anyway, you think we should,
excellent
it's
idea.
gonna be, if we're gonna do this, we gotta get going on it and start to really think about it. So,
And I would be happy to participate and do what I can do. Can give directions or something, or,
well, we all might wanna do that too, so. We'd all wanna be there, and we could all help with the safety issue as well.
Yeah, Veolia
Thoughts?
would help
I think it's a good idea. You briefly mentioned this. This is something that has to get moving immediately. If we're looking at it early October, we're at mid-August.
2 months.
Yeah, but we can't wait. We have to make decisions before our next meeting.
Oh, yeah.
So I think we need to, I'm in favor of it. I think it's a good idea. It's just, we do need to get moving on it if we're gonna do it.
That's why I favored November 1st. I mean, usually November hasn't been as bad as it used to be, decades ago.
Weather-wise, right?
It's better than it is now, but if we're gonna do this, we should settle on a date tonight if we can.
Is November 1st a
It's a Saturday.
hunting day?
No, 15th is the
15th, yeah.
is
That's when
firearms
everybody
day.
skips work.
That's,
Yeah.
that's,
That gives us a couple more weeks. I mean, I don't know if that matters.
Ryan, did you take a look at kind of your staff schedule and stuff, and you thought the 18th though worked better for you guys?
Well, we did, but I mean, we just need a date so I can tell Veolia, my superior, to just so if we need extra help on a date, then we can have it there because we have the plant in Wyandotte. Whichever you guys would.
Well, that raises
prefer.
another question. I mean, I
We
know
need a date.
we
yeah.
own the plant, but they're our contractor. Do we need to bring in your boss, Veolia, and get their approval?
Yeah, I'm gonna immediately, once we know a date, I'm gonna let him know. So then, like you're saying, I don't know all the ends of that. If I,
Derek, that's something you and
No.
Kevin might have to be involved in with Veolia.
Yeah. If November works for you guys, we can go
yeah,
to November.
1st of November, if that seems like.
Well, I
a
mean,
good-
it just gives us a couple more weeks to get done what we gotta do.
the Communication Commission that
Yeah.
is part of the Township Communication Commission probably could help advertise this and maybe put information out to the school district to invite students to participate.
Good idea. Okay, Ray,
Well, I want to dovetail off of what Kevin is saying, and it kind of goes back to your point. How many people are going to show? How many people are interested? And, as you kind of look at the dollars that we are talking about here, that you're going to spend, do we have an audience of 50, or do we have an audience of several hundred people that want to go? Now, Kevin's idea of reaching out and getting some input to the township, hey guys, we'd like to hold this, we'd like to be able to show you, what, has been done with this thing, but we'd like to gather some input from you, are you interested in us moving forward and setting up this event for you to come see it, and try to solicit some input from the townspeople. The problem is we don't have a lot of time to do that. All right. You're going to get some feedback, and that's what's going to gauge to what extent we're going to want to do all of this. So that's where I'm kind of coming from. I don't know how many people,
I don't either.
are going to want to visit this thing.
I don't know either. It's a hard one to,
Yep.
we could be disappointed, or if you have 100 people, are you happy? I think that, I think there are people that would like to see it, based on people I talked to over the years. But how many would be available that day to really want to come, I don't know.
Well, the sooner we get out the communication that we're planning to do this is going to generate maybe some input, some feedback back through us. And I don't know whether we have a mechanism to receive that input from the townspeople. Just, hey, October 18th, that sounds great. Thanks for doing this, or or what. But
The other, have you considered going early spring? I know that it seems that you'd like to do it for the fall, maybe
Springtime?
maybe would it make it easier to have more time to coordinate and put things together?
Probably. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Okay, so we'll keep that on the table.
Springtime at the sewage plant.
Yeah,
That's right.
and maybe before school's over, because
yeah.
you get the word out to kids that way.
Yeah.
Okay, is that it?
That's it.
Lenny?
Effort and energy over results. And I can't tell you if it'll be 2 or 200. If 2 show up, then what's the expense and what's that for 2? A lot of this in my head is telling me that we've done a great job with that plant, and the folks here have done a fabulous job with that plant. This is, in my opinion, more like an infomercial than it is an open house tour. You know, a TikTok video will get 10,000 views in a heartbeat. 4 people may show up and we're all going to be disappointed at a cost of $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. Now, we want to be transparent with taxpayers. We want them to invite them, but we need a way to gauge that before we do anything. Because I hate to go through all this and have 8 people show up. So we need some indicator. This fall's too soon. The spring's probably accurate. But we do need a mechanism to go, we need to gauge your interest. And then there's got to be a marketing effort behind it. It can't be a one and done. It's got to be, are you aware that this happened and this occurred and this occurred? Then you watch your following. And if you get 1,000 followers, you may get 25 that show. If you only get 100 followers, you're going to get 2 that show. And based on that, it can be gauged. Right? That's just my perspective on nowadays, everybody's on their phone, and it's, if not a TikTok video, they have no idea what it is. And I think more and more people are afraid to get out and go see things in person when they can watch it right on their phone or their computer. And
So
that's
you're
just the day and age.
suggesting maybe we produce a video that could be shown on Channel 12 and something on social media?
On social media.
That's a great idea.
I
You
agree.
know, and take that social media hit, and yes, there's a lot of moving parts in that plant, and I've got some concerns about how far do you let them go before TOR becomes a liability,
Yeah.
right? And you got to balance that TOR and liability. Where I think nowadays everybody's got some venue on social media. I don't care what you do in the world, there's a venue for it, and that venue, depending on what's happening, gains a series of followers. There are folks on our island that would be greatly interested in that, will be disappointed if you don't do it. There's a majority that say, hey, if it's there, I'll take a look at it. Yeah, they're spending a lot of money, but look at the value we're getting for it. We want to try to do the maximum push to be transparent with what happens in that plant. It's cool, it's exciting, but at what level for our residents? And I think we make it easy on them, and then you can build that following, is my perspective.
And if I could add to what Lenny suggested, if we do this, now you have a standing infomercial that is available all the time, 24/7, 365, regardless of whether, someone saw it yesterday, someone wants to see it in a week from now or whatever, right? So, I mean, that's a legacy of here's where we're at.
Yeah. And I'm more of a fan of getting people off the couches and out seeing things personally, because we do have a population that is no longer getting out as often as they need to. I'm a big fan of that. But where I don't want to go from here to there that fast, we need to entice them and build their level of interest. If our viewers tonight show at that open house, what are we going to have? So I think we need to take and build some momentum to that, because we have that system, as complex as it is, on this island we should be proud of. But we need to take and explain to people why we're proud of it.
Good points, good points. Lance, you have any comments?
No, I agree with Lenny. I think, concerns I got, like you said, parking, safety, liability. I think it'd be a better idea to make a video, and a TikTok or a YouTube or whatever. Could be professionally made. The guys in the plant know the plant better than any of us can make videos. And then maybe at the end of the video, if you want to, have a detailed tour already, we'll have an open house on such and such a date. Please sign up. That way you got 2 people or 200 people coming. I don't know how you can plan, for an open house. If you're gonna have cookies and subs and waters, it'd be hard to do that. But I'd say if you make reservations to come for a more detailed tour in the springtime or in the summertime, you can organize it that way.
Or what people could do is you could say, if you're interested in a tour, please contact a certain number, and they get private tours. Because
Yep.
I've taken the newspapers over there, I've taken other people there, and there's usually 4 or 5 people instead of a whole crowd.
And it was a long time ago, but I remember in grade school that we all went over to Lincoln Park to go tour the water system. I remember that like it was yesterday, because I thought that was the coolest thing in the world, right? So if we can reach out to the schools, and I like the idea of the schools, to educate them and do that, and you can then you organize your tour. Now you're touring 2 or 3 groups maybe, and it's a quick tour, then that spreads to their parents, and maybe the parents want a chaperone, and we can build that up, right? I'm not saying turn that place into Disney World, but at least make it open to where people understand what it is. There's a lot of money to run that plant, and they should know where it goes and why. And that's the message that we want to get out.
Yeah, I like that, okay.
Right, I was going to, when you had the Girl Scouts through, what I was wondering is, you have provided tours. What do you think a optimal number would be that's safe and actually doable? And when you did this, the Girl Scouts, it was a very interesting picture. I still,
Yep.
the young ladies going through the tour.
I would say maybe 10 in a group would probably be a good number, no more than that, because you got to remember there's stairwells and
Right.
there's tight areas when you walk in the room, tank's right there. I mean, so yeah, we'd have to I'd say 10 in a group, no more than that. And then obviously safety's number 1, so we'd have to, kind of figure
Okay.
that out. But I think Veolia could probably help us out with this, because Veolia operates plants all around the country, and I guarantee have helped out with this. If we want to make like a tour of the plant and advice on how to go about that.
It would be good marketing too.
Well,
It's a marketing
Yeah,
for them too.
and maybe it's a semi-annual.
Yeah,
And over time it gets built up more and more and more. It's a semi-annual or something like that, but you gotta have them build up.
Okay,
they'd want to help with that. So yeah.
John, you have anything to say?
I agree with Lenny. We should put it out there in social media and see how many people are actually interested. And I would suggest spring, because the fall's gonna be here in the blink of an eye.
Also out.
Maybe, maybe we need a mascot too.
Derek, what are your thoughts?
I think Lenny's got a great idea. I mean, I think if your goal is to expose the residents to the operations over there, I think you can do it more efficiently. You can do it safer through some sort of media product. And like Ray had mentioned, it lives beyond just that single day. You can run it, month over month, year over year, if it's educational, if it's entertaining, if it shows the operation. It's something that can be reused over and over again. And I think if there was additional interest above and beyond, just that video, if they want a specialized tour or have additional questions, then maybe a tour could be, could spawn out of that. But I think there are some concerns about being able to give them a valuable tour of the plant while still being able to maintain the safety of the participant. Yeah, because you're going to end up with all different types, some that are more mobile than others. They can deal with staircases they might not be able to. I think that's a great suggestion. We could put something together professionally. You could put your money into that, and it provides value above and beyond just a single day. So
I like your idea too, Lenny.
Thank you. Every now and then, see, even a blind squirrel can find a nut.
Well, I think it addresses a lot of the problems I was pointing out. And so let me ask this, to shorten the meeting up here. Between Ryan and I and Derek and maybe Kevin, can we talk about this and come back either next month or the month after with some firmer ideas about how we produce the video?
Absolutely.
And we'll just give you a report and see where it goes?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, and then I'll ask Veolia if they have any ideas on this. Is that okay?
Sure.
I'll just,
And I'm still thinking that I would like Sahil to prepare some kind of a brochure, even if it's 2 pages or, 4, that we can put downstairs, at not a lot of expense, that explains the process, or they could have something available. We just don't have that.
Does
You
Veolia
understand,
have
Eddie, what
that?
I'm saying?
Absolutely, sir.
I never say it, is it Viola?
Veolia.
Veolia, do they have brochures or educational material?
Well, they'd have to make it specific for our operation.
Okay. I see
But
what
I'm
you're-
sure, I mean, if,
Sahil said he could do one.
Yeah.
and
Great.
he has all the
he's
information,
got the story,
so
and we'll get a,
that's probably better, yeah.
all right, so I like the idea, Lenny. I think we had a positive discussion on this. Thank you.
Hey, my pleasure, thank you.
And, everybody in agreement?
Yeah.
Okay, that solves a lot of problems. And we can still do the PR then, okay? All right, so we're not talking about fall, or maybe not even spring, we're talking about producing something that we can put on Channel 12, that we'd have available. And I even thought at some point, Kevin, when it's done, we can make a presentation to the township board with it.
Absolutely.
What do you think, Derek?
Yep, absolutely.
All right, thank you, Ryan.
If I have one more,
Yeah,
as much as I want to sell golden tickets to Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory, I don't want to make that bad of a joke here tonight.
what bad? What did I miss?
Explain later.
Water?
Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory.
What goes in the plant?
Sorry.
Oh, sorry,
It's that
okay.
warped sense part of me that comes out every now and then, and I do apologize.
Well, you did have a good idea to
You
begin.
had a good idea. You lost a couple of demerits on that one,
Perfect, and that's exactly where I belong.
All right, thank you. Let's see where else we're going on this agenda.
Their dad would have loved it.
They're falling all over the
You used to call it something different, but same theory.
We're on page 62.
All right. I'm got a mess here. Yeah, page 62. So that's, Derek, that's yours to go through. Briefly, if you can.
Briefly, so NPS permit application, the MS4 biannual report was submitted to Eagle. Just to expand on that a little bit, this is stormwater related. We have been selected for an audit by Eagle of our stormwater operations. So island-wide, the stormwater system is owned and maintained by Wayne County and permitted by Wayne County. But the township itself is required to have its own permit for stormwater facilities that the township owns. So that's the Township Hall parking lot, that's the DPS maintenance garage facility, any township-owned facilities fall under that permit. So we have certain record-keeping requirements, we have certain maintenance requirements that come with that permit, and the state of Michigan will be coming to audit the township this month to make sure that we're in compliance with those various provisions of our permit. So just want to let you know, there'll be a report that'll come out after that and give us a grade as far as how we're doing with that, and then we'll report on that when we end up.
Is
having
this
that
the
completed.
MS4 report?
MS4, it's associated with our MS4 permit, yes. So our
So-
MS4 permit is like our stormwater drainage permit,
All right,
and
so
this
Sahil
inspection would be part of that.
will have to add a little narrative to that then.
As far as cleaning and televising, John, can you update on that? I believe, section 1 is about 90% complete?
Correct, yes. They're back on the island as of this week. They're going to finish up section 1, and once that's all completed, they will move on to section 2. They're currently at Church and Thoroughfare Canal right now.
Okay, thank you.
John and I, along with Rains, had a pre-con meeting with DVM, which is the low bidder on the sanitary sewer structure and pipe system rehabilitation project. And they're looking at starting likely this month. And then.
Well, the lining's gonna be January, he said.
And lining work would be during the winter time, but so structure, manhole structure rehab will be the first thing to start, and then lining likely through the winter time. And a lot of that'll be weather dependent, because I think they said they won't operate if weather, I think the temperature is below 25 degrees, something like that. So that'll stretch likely into the spring, so they'll be on the island for the next 6 months or so. But that work is scheduled to start potentially next week.
Okay,
We talked a little bit about the PPC and the necessity for the Influent meter, and I explained earlier in the meeting what the PPC was. The majority of the ACO work is completed with the exception of that PPC, so that's where we're at with the ACO work. The AMP, we've talked about that before, for the sewer system, the wastewater treatment plant. That has to be updated each year and reported on each year, so that was completed in May. Influent and effluent meters, we talked about that earlier. The influent was authorized under an emergency. The effluent will be required to get a Part 41 permit, and then we'll end up bidding that. Ryan talked a little bit about the self-cleaning filtration system. That was a project that was awarded a couple of months ago by the DPS Commission and the board, so that is in process. Water system asset management plan, we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. Elba Island Bridge water main relocation, they're preparing the design and the bidding documents for that project currently. The Rains is. Reliability study, we've got that pretty much completed. That was right alongside with our asset management plan. Nothing really new to complete or to update the board on, or the commission on Ferry Road. That's about complete. They did the punch list items on Ferry last month. Payment rehab, the board approved the special assessment district at their meeting last night. My understanding is Al's is supposed to mobilize here in the next 2 weeks to do Elba, so that should be upcoming. Street sectioning, which is township-wide, that's your concrete work. That project is currently in progress. They've been working on Manchester. They're moving south to the north. Just to refresh your memory, we had $326,000 on the asphalt contract with Al's. We received a grant from the county for an additional $163,000, bringing the total asphalt work to $489,675. So we'll plan on expending all those funds. On concrete, the original contract cost for that was $495,877. We received a grant from Wayne County for $247,938. So a total of $743,816 in concrete. So we will spend until the money is gone, carrying the projects as far as we can get them to go with the money that we have available. In your packet, there was a map showing the various locations for street improvements. I can put it on the overhead if you want, but I believe we've shown this to you before, what areas they're working. As mentioned earlier, they're working Manchester North. I believe they were tearing up portions of Gray's Drive. Have they gotten to Macomb yet?
That's what I was just gonna mention, Derek, the corner of Macomb and Meridian, they're at that intersection right now. They've changed the westbound into one-way each direction there. The center lane, normally when you're turning left to come on to go south on Meridian, is now eastbound. So everybody be aware of that and be careful at that intersection, please. So that'll take about 7 days to cure.
On our project list, we did have some work on Park Lane up by the Park Lane Elementary School. We're going to have to put that work off till the spring if we decide to do concrete work next year. The issue that we're having there is there's just way too much activity occurring at the Park Lane
Yeah.
school to get in there and do any kind of concrete work. We would just be causing them a significant amount of inconvenience if we started ripping up roads in that area. So we're gonna take the money that we would have spent in that area, put it on different roads, and then reevaluate that for next year.
That's fine.
So just wanted to make you aware of that. So, there was an email that was included in the packet, some correspondence between myself and the county with regards to Meridian. I know this has been a constant topic of conversation with the commission, and with the community, trying to get that work done. I keep getting told that they're looking at it, they're trying to fit it in, they're planning on doing it. But I haven't gotten a definitive date on that yet. I have, copied our Wayne County Commissioner on my correspondence to the county, and have made it very clear that the expectation of Grosse Township is that work get done. So my understanding is they're still looking to try to fit it in for this construction season. So, and you can see some of my correspondence that was included in the packet, so you know what the conversation has been with them. That is all that I have for the DPS project update and paving project update. A copy of the water loss was included in the packet, 24.119%. Are there any questions about those three items?
Are there any questions?
Done.
Okay, I do have a comment. You've called again with the county on Meridian.
Yes.
We don't know anything about details about the bridges either. It was 1 year ago, this month, that this commission approved a letter to the county asking them for a reply by last September, which they didn't do. And we talked about, well, let's put it off till October and see if they'll respond. They didn't. And I know the county bridge being closed, they used as an excuse the weight limits and so forth. Have you talked to Joe Palmera?
I have copied him on the emails. I have not spoken with Joe about this specific issue. Personally.
Well, I've had a number of residents approach me about Meridian and kind of with an attitude like, we approved a bond issue and we were told that Meridian was going to get done within a few years after that. What are you doing about it? This frustrates me a great deal because, as you and I've talked, Derek, not only is Meridian bad, but now we're starting to see the south section of Meridian from Parkway. At some point, it's going to need resurfacing. We got section of East River Road that's going to need resurfacing that wasn't in our plan to do. Residents would feel a lot better, even if we got a commitment to do the church this year and to Horse Mill the next year. So what I want to propose, I know that staff's in a dilemma. You got to maintain a working relationship with the county. But the fact that they don't even give you an answer is very frustrating. I would like to propose that we invite, and we'll send a letter, that we invite somebody from the county to come to our next meeting. Explain to us why they're not, this is one of the worst roads in the county. Now, I know that people would say, oh, you don't vote for the Democrats or whatever, because I know that primarily, it doesn't seem, I've had that thrown in my face. But tax-wise, per residents, we pay a lot more taxes on average than in most communities in Wayne County. So we went to the voters with the hope that the county was going to pave Meridian, and that burden of $4 million was going to be off of us, or we'd had to ask for more money. Now, you're the manager. I just wonder, well, first of all, I don't want to put you on the spot, but before you respond, how do some of the others feel?
Well, I think you're on the right track, but I think this has really got to come from Township Supervisor. And it's almost got to go from him to Evans. I mean, it's Evans is in charge of Wayne County, and he doesn't get very active in any of this stuff. I'm not sure that Mr. Palmera has the muscle behind them in order to get some of this stuff done. And I think, Derek's tried it, and I think what we need to do is probably write a letter for Mr. Porcerelli's signature to send out to the Wayne County folks and say, everything you just said is that, goes back to 2024, when we were promised they were going to fix the roads. Now, they're also going to probably come back and say, well, the bridge. I'm going to say, well, you know what? You guys messed up on the bridge for decades, right? So don't throw that back in our face. The issue is that, we pay taxes. We can go back through the same level of amount of taxes that we pay versus the other communities. And we're looking for some professional response to the questions we've asked that aren't being answered and that are being ignored.
Okay.
I mean, to
Well,
me,
you can try the letter. That certainly can't hurt. I was thinking, we just send them an invitation. We want either one of the guys that's in charge of the road maintenance group to come and meet with us.
well, that should be in the letter. That should be part of the whole thing.
Okay, what do you, anybody else have thoughts?
Send them an invitation and outline what you want to discuss and see if they attend.
Lance?
I agree. It's typical Wayne County.
Oh.
Out of patience.
You're speechless for once.
Yeah. I mean, we invited somebody before.
Well, we asked for them for a response.
Yeah, asked a response, but we,
I got the letter right here. It was dated August 20th.
I agree with Ray. I think this is gonna have to come from the township supervisor at this point. I just don't think they pay any attention to us at our level.
Okay,
I
Kevin?
mean, that's where I agree with you.
I agree with that.
all right, Derek, what do you want to do?
Well, I think that the commission has some very good points, John and I deal with the administration, and sometimes I think, they've got people they have to answer to, which requires a corresponding individual or group of individuals at that level. We can only do so much with our counterparts at the county. Sometimes it takes, the next level up to.
Help them set the priorities.
Right.
Could we ask you to, well, I can confer with you to prepare the letter?
Yeah,
Joe would send it out.
If you want to work with me and we can work with Joe and draft it up and then get together with him, that'd probably be appropriate.
All depend on it.
That's one thing. What about the idea of inviting them to come to our meeting in the letter?
That could be in the letter.
Yeah, I think that should be in the letter.
All right, that covers that. Okay, we'll work on that. I've got the old letter that, for the most part, it was about bridges, but we can send them that, we can attach it as well. Okay,
Last one under my report, it's just something to, start the conversation. We had our water asset management plan that was completed a couple of months ago. So now part of that is to try to start working on that asset management plan. It's the expectation of the state, that Grosse Township starts working on that. Maria did put together kind of a funding plan. We're going to have to more than likely have a combination of financing improvements with, cash and bonding. She had laid out our obligations over a period of 25 years, according to the plan, of about $30 million, okay? So right now, with our current rate structure and bonding capacity, we have approximately $16 million available over the next 25 years to fund that $30 million, responsibility or asset management plan. So we're basically in the hole about $14 million. So over the next 25 years to fund the plan as it's currently laid out. So I wanted to start the conversation, and I'm not saying tonight, but that information was put in the packet so that you guys can start thinking about, how do we do that over the next 25 years? We want to put in a plan to be able to, have it run over the next 25 years seamlessly with a strategy, right? To meet those obligations. So it's going to have to be a combination of potentially grants and rate structure adjustments, and obviously bonding adds debt, and that debt and those debt payments eat into that $16 million. So it's not just a matter of, hey, we take out bonds, you still have to pay for those. So keep that in mind. But just want you to be aware of that, so we can start thinking about how best to deal with that and start that conversation. So just something to put under your pillow at night, but just included in there for that, just to start the conversation. So
Well, on that issue, we're going to have a couple study sessions on it.
absolutely, yep.
So we'll have to bring it all back, and I would look to staff to bring back, what are your immediate priorities? And what's our financing? Now, the finance pack, the sheet you put in the packet, it's a reflection of the amount of money we spend annually on our debt, both our principal and interest payments. And that's exactly what that money is. And as we retire bond issues, that's why that increases to the $900,000 level. But we'll have to figure out how to address the most immediate needs, right? And then the longer term needs. But that'll be a challenging discussion for us.
Yeah, and I'll look to you also for the type of information you will need to have an educated conversation. Do we need to take a look at, okay, rate structures, if you had a 3% increase over the next 25 years, what would that generate? Would that be able to meet those demands? Or, does it need to be more than that? Does it need to be less than that? Are we going to address it that way? Is there a hole that we're going to need to be able to fill through grants where the rate structures would get too great, maybe if we increase it above a certain amount? So if you want projections and assessments done as far as, pro formas on rate structures or whatever it might be, I can get that information for you. I can work with our finance director to provide that. But, that's the type of input I'm looking for from you as you think about how do we address this, and what information do I need as a commissioner to talk about it and review, what our options are. So
I don't want to put any negative thought on this, but very few communities, when they do their asset management plan, ever have enough money to fulfill it. You know that.
I think the fact that, we're looking at $30 million of improvements and you have $16 million of available, capacity to deal with that is far and above, better than most communities.
Right.
So our issue is far less than most, so.
That's over a 25-year period.
Correct.
Okay, so.
That concludes
you
my
got that?
report.
That's yours, that concludes yours? Okay, great. And I have lost my agenda. I got it, I found it. John, we're to you now. What's your update? Any?
Thank you for the air conditioning. We appreciate it greatly. A very warm month. Thank you.
It'll be installed in December.
Thanks, Bill.
And wired in January.
All right, so,
Nothing more at this time. Thank you, Bill.
as far as the chairman's report, we already talked about the wastewater treatment plant issues. There was a memo at the back of your package that I wrote. I don't know how many saw it?
That's it.
And this is for next year. I'm gonna pass out a little map here. And Lance, will you give one to John? So there'd be 4 down this way. 2 this way.
One more?
Derek already has one, right?
Oh, that John.
So Derek and I have been talking about this for many, many months, but I listed all the things in the memo that we are responsible for: the water system, the operation sewer system, wastewater plant, stormwater and drainage, local initiatives to maintain our streets and major roads, our roadside maintenance activities. And when we talk about roadside maintenance, we started doing more roadside maintenance because the county never came out. They finally told us years ago, we'll come out once a year. And if you drive down Sibley Road or some of the other roads, you'll see growth right up to the edge of the pavement throughout the township. So can't rely on them to come out. We do the roadside maintenance, and by the way, I think you're doing a great job with it, especially with the new equipment we have. And of course, our recycling. The roadside maintenance is an issue we talked about years ago. It's important because it gives the image of the community. And it's not only a safety issue, but it makes things look nicer, adds to property values. So some issues so what I'm asking you to do over the next few months, I was going to say for September, but that's not a firm date. I was thinking of roads, but Derek and John are going to figure out what we need to know is, what are your thoughts for roads for the next year, for next season? And whether it's by September or whatever, so feel free to put a list together. This map that is my list of my hobby as I drive around. First of all, the little red dots are AT&T concerns. The 3 on Meridian, and actually I think there's 4 now, are those service panels, telephone service panels that are broken apart or tipped over. Now there's one right at the corner here of Grosse and Meridian, and somebody put taped a belt around it to put it back together. And lo and behold, I found out it was Derek, our own township manager. I mean, the thing was completely split open.
I put it together, and I think John's crew duct taped it together.
A lot of good things,
Permanently
a
temporary.
lot of miracles for duct tape. Anyway, so that's one issue for me and John's got the number of them to call. I'd like to have a meeting with them eventually. It's a pet peeve of mine that stuff looks so bad. Maybe you know in your neighborhoods of some that are in bad shape. The other one is over by, at the end of our ramp coming off Parkway on West River. There's a vacant lot that we started mowing. When you get on the ramp, you get off the bridge, you come around to West River, you can now look through what was a jungle and you can see the river. Well, do you know that when they did the ramp construction, they built the new ramp over West River? AT&T had a line that serviced people, and they just laid it on the ground. It's still laying on the ground. John talked to them a year ago and convinced them to remove that. They cut it off. They said, okay, it doesn't serve anything. Well, 17 people were cut off. So they got it reactivated.
Still on the ground.
So that's another issue with me. These are sort of my pet peeves. There's a drainage concern on Bellevue, and it's holding water. John and I have met and talked about it, but I see it as a drainage concern. I don't know if there's a long-term solution to it. We could build a catch basin in an area that the ground is higher than the road by 2-3 inches, just doesn't go anywhere, it holds the water. And that's an issue we'll have to consider or talk about. But I noticed there's a drainage issue there on the road. And then finally, down by Water's Edge Golf Course, Phil and I have talked about this before, there's a fence line that contains the golf course, and it's looked horrible. Nobody could maintain it. John's done a good job killing the weeds there, but now he's gone in, to my surprise. Derek and I talked about,
Everything's dead.
before we were going to buy the toll bridge, Derek was hot to say, well, we're going to do something with this, and I didn't bring it up again because he was immersed in the toll bridge. So I said, well, we'll let it go for now. It's always good. But John's cleaned it up a lot now. And the question is, in my mind, what do we do to put a barrier there for the golf, so the golf balls don't come out on the road, but at the same time, clean up the appearance of that, so we can easily maintain it. John's working on it. So these are, I'm just saying as examples of some of my issues. So at some point, we should set a date when I can say, what are your issues that you see in your neighborhoods? And come back, and maybe we can put a list together by the end of the year that we could deal with in the spring, something like that. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But particular, I would like you to come back with, in September, with what road improvements you see. And it could be as simple as a pothole. It could be a section of road, asphalt that needs to be fixed. It could be a section of concrete road that would help with all these different eyes on it. Bring back your thoughts, and we'll make a list of them. And then we'll have staff and the engineers go look at them. How's that?
Sounds good.
And I would remind, Derek, I think, as far as the Swan Island Road, there's that one section before the bridge.
Yeah.
The pavement's gone. We're gonna try to add that to Al's asphalt. And then, John, on Gray's Drive, I don't know how much we're gonna replace in concrete, but before school starts, you gotta make sure you get some county out there with hot patch to fix the potholes we're not gonna fix.
As soon as the concrete people are out of our way.
Yeah, so before school starts. So, anyway, those are some thoughts. Any comments? You don't need any comments at this point. The meeting's gone on long enough.
Oh, we got comments.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. Priority appears to be having some issues. They've missed my house 2 weeks in a row. And our entire block this week, they've missed all the grass and branch stuff pickups. So we've called the township 2 weeks ago, but they're in the news, unfortunately. They've grown substantially. I still stand behind my vote to bring them in. I really do. Those guys are working hard, but they're slipping a bit.
Okay.
So,
All right.
I
John,
did notice they've got some new trucks now, though.
yeah.
They have gotten caught up with some of
With-
their trucks.
They got some assets, they're spread thin.
Yeah.
We're being as patient as we can, but it's the basic stuff. It's the basic blocking and tackling.
It's been a rough, probably past 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of that here at
Yeah.
Township Hall with the complaints. I can tell you that they eventually do grab it, but it's either late in the day or it's the following day. So they've been, their pickup's supposed to be Monday and Tuesday. They've been extending pickup into Wednesdays just
Into
because
Wednesdays and stuff,
they've
yeah.
been missing
Yeah.
sometimes 15 to 20% of the island on either recycle or yard waste. It's generally not trash. It's usually one of those other
It's
two.
one of the, and I do feel bad for them, another spread thin.
And that's not our fault. That's
Right.
their fault. That we pay them to do a job. But what I will say is I do got to give them credit in that they're in, they coordinate with us. They communicate with us like, hey, this is what's going on. Generally, it's equipment breakdowns or the heat. I don't know if it's wreaking havoc with their staff or whatever it might be, but.
It's hard to do that job when it's 90 degrees out for 2 weeks in a row.
And they are usually very responsive about getting back with us if we say, hey, you've got a missed pickup in this area, and they'll usually resolve it within a 24-hour period. So my suggestion to the residents would be, if you do have an issue, you can call them directly, but you can also call us. And what we have access to is essentially like a route manager at Priority who we email the location, and they're very responsive about letting us know, hey, it'll be resolved, it'll be taken care of, it'll be picked up within this period of time, and then we can communicate that to the residents. So
And just for our benefit, when they call township, where do they go within the township, just to clarify?
so they can call myself or they can call Donna.
Okay.
And both her or I will email the route manager and just let them know. And we always say, just leave the stuff out of the curb, and they'll come and get it eventually.
Okay.
And usually it'll be before the end of the day on Wednesday.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
yeah. And it has been, I think yard waste was being picked up when I was on my way up to the meeting today at like 6:30, so.
Yeah,
And normally my yard waste is picked up in the morning at 8 AM,
Yeah,
so.
mine was
And
usually,
on their behalf, Lenny, also, you know, this time of year, there's
When I
that
was
much
coming
extra
to the
yard
meeting.
There's
waste,
that
right?
much.
And then when the trucks get
Yes.
full and they're packed out, the dumps close, so
The
they
dumps-
can't go. So
and
they
yeah,
gotta
I
come
just-
back the
I
next
just-
day.
yeah.
I mean, they have stepped it
I-
up a little bit in the last
yeah.
couple of weeks. so.
I get it, I appreciate those guys more than the average bear, for sure. I just wanted to make sure we brought it up, that's all.
And also, I think what happens is when you get roads that are missed, it a lot of times coincides with like changeover in staff or different crews that are here that aren't used to the island. Like they had to pull our crew off that's normally here and send them somewhere else.
Right.
So if you have issues in other communities where they picked up work or something, or they need to reallocate staff, we get a crew that's not familiar, and then they'll
They don't
miss
know.
whole roads, especially some of the small courts and stuff like that. So.
And where I live, it's easy to miss.
Yeah, yeah, so, but yeah, we're
They missed
well
mine
aware.
for 2 weeks too, so don't feel bad. But they'll come back. They come back.
And I get it, you know, and they're doing, I'm sure, everything they possibly can. And I'm empathetic with them when I give them credit.
But it's good to raise the question.
Derek,
Yeah,
could we,
it's not a complaint, it's just raising the awareness.
could we put something out on, our websites, you know, just explaining the situation and.
Absolutely, yeah.
That way folks will know that it's
And that'll cut down on phone calls to us as well, so.
Yes,
Yeah,
that'd be
I have no
great.
problem with that, sure.
communicating is,
Anything else from anybody on the commission?
You have nothing else?
One comment I have on the minutes, Derek, is I noticed this time that the minutes included almost verbatim the engineer's report. Can't we just refer to it by date? Say, the commission received a report dated blah, blah from the engineers?
Yeah, we can do that, sure.
Would eliminate all those pages in the minutes?
Yep, we can do
Make
that,
it easier for you too, then.
sure.
Just that, okay?
Sounds good.
I don't have anything else. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll entertain the motion to adjourn the meeting at 9:07.
Second,
Is there support?
support?
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much.